Welcome back to Yogaxpress, your virtual stretch clinic that helps you move the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. In the last couple of episodes, we've had an amazing guest, Mona Chopra. Mona is a licensed acupuncturist, a hypnotherapist, and a yoga therapist, plus a birth doula. But we're not going to do that on air, but she's already shown us the three dimensions. She's been leading us through some therapeutic postures in the last couple of episodes. I requested Mona to come back today to take us through a few more of the postures, which could be fairly ailment specific. And also, I love the way you explain things. Mona is right here. Mona Chopra, her credits are going to be up in just a moment, in a few seconds, as soon as our director, Josiane Hurd, gets them up. That's it. Thank you, Josiane. Mona, you have taken me through a very beautiful, gentle journey in the last couple of episodes. The first time you came in these block of episodes, you took me through some supine postures. Remember I told you they're like the Egyptian yoga. You start from the supine, but it was so relaxing. I could actually feel the psoas muscles right from the inside get a nice stretch, which is really very rare in supine postures. You don't really feel it, but the way you took me through, I think it helped a lot. The last episode, you took me through the sun salutation. I actually wanted to just clarify something. You pointed out something very important. You said usually sun salutations are intended for mornings because they wake us up, right?
That's right.
I think for our viewers, it would be a great way for them to remember that by knowing that Hram, the sound, the chant Om Hram, is the beginning of the chants, the 6 chants for the sun salutation. So if they can remember Hram, which is is that considered what you call the beach, the center sound?
I heard it not as a beach, but just as a representation of like a name for the sun.
For the sun.
Or it's like the vibration of the sun, the different vibrations of the sun. So Hram is that first one that would start the day.
It just starts the day. So it's a great way to associate the Hram with the beginning of the day, and that way people will remember that the sun salutation ideally should be practiced in the mornings because it does wake us up.
Exactly.
Right? It wakes the body up.
Exactly.
So sorry, go on.
And that sound too, just for those who did see it or those who didn't, but that sound too, one of the powerful physiological effects of it is, so it's not actually Hram. So you're not saying Hram, but it's actually contracting the abdomen. Hram. Exactly.
Hram.
It's Hram.
Right.
And in that action, the abdomen strongly contracts, which is incredibly beneficial for the digestive organs, for the intestines, and it really it's like giving juice to all the organs in the lower abdominal cavity.
That's very nice. Well, that was going to be my next question anyway, so you just read my mind.
Okay.
So when you say Hram, the belly goes in. Om Hram.
Exactly.
Hram. That's amazing. That's a wonderful explanation as well, because you're talking about using the body, moving the body to still the mind, and you talk about muscular contractions, and it's so important to know how these sounds can help our body, right?
Exactly.
Because it doesn't have to be spiritual all the time. We can take it to spiritual levels, but that's our personal choice.
That's right. I think each of these things kind of can work on so many different levels. So but even if you took away any kind of a spiritual connotation, just the fact of sounds creating vibrations in our system, like science knows that has a beneficial effect. So different sounds, like the sound would feel, it feels differently than hum. Hum is for invigorating.
Right. Awakening. That's
exactly.
right. I think that's great. One of these days we're going to share with you the full sun salutation chant. When we do the sun salutation as part of a full episode, we're going to share all the chants with you. You don't have to repeat it, but you can enjoy the vibrations. I love the way you said there are sounds and vibrations, because it's important for our viewers also to understand they don't have to necessarily be words with meanings. It can be just sound and a physical movement, physiological movement.
Exactly. I have to say, when I was doing my yoga training, one of the things that I wasn't particularly interested really in chanting or this kind of sound therapy, but I was all the way in India, so I said I might as well take the optional class. And that was actually the most profoundly transformative for me, even on a physical level. So I, believe very strongly in using sound in practice. It just can intensify it, and it helps to keep your focus.
Exactly.
Because, if you drift off, but if you have that sound, it gives you yet one more thing to focus on, coordinating the sound with the movement. So.
Well, that's another aspect of yoga too. I mean, improving focus, improves listening skills.
Absolutely.
So it improves a lot of stuff. So not that we are advocating yoga, we just call Yogaxpress. but you're right. It does definitely helps improve focus, because that way we are sending, how you talk about where the mind goes, energy flows. So you're energizing that region of the body by sending the mind to that region as well. That was a great explanation, Mona. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank our team as well, Josiane Hurd, our director. Thank you so much for your guidance in the control room today. Catherine Kirkpatrick. Catherine, I apologize. I changed your last name in the last couple of episodes. Catherine Kirkpatrick assisting Josiane in the control room. And I believe we have George Sertrelis as well. Deshaun Pretlow, our facilitator for today again, is responsible for the studio lights and the sound system. The volume of the body music that you hear is by Cesar De Para, the opening ohms from a track called Sapta Tandavam. Yogaxpress airs Monday through Friday on Time Warner 57, RCN 84, and FiOS 35 at 1:30 in the afternoon. But we don't just air in Manhattan, we also air in all the other 5 boroughs. The other boroughs receive these episodes after we've aired them in Manhattan, of course, because we tape them here at MNN, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And you could also, if you miss one of our episodes, you could always go back online, mnn.org, or you could go to my website, yogaxpress.com, YOGAXPRESS.com. Mona, I can't wait to move on. Yesterday, the last episode was great. I really enjoyed that.
Okay, so we did some supine in the first, we did standing in the second, so we're going to start today actually with some kneeling and then do some prone postures. So let's start on our hands and knees. And if you have any knee issues, you can always put an extra blanket under your knees, and if that's not good enough, then this wouldn't be an appropriate posture for you. If your knees are in a really, really bad shape, then definitely not kneeling. But if you knees are feeling good today, then you can have yourself here on this kneeling position and have the feet lined up with the knee. So the toes are not touching, the feet are not splayed out. It's actually, they're just parallel to each other. Okay. And the wrists are under the shoulders, and the fingers are spread wide. So we're going to start out with this gentle mobilization of the spine, the hips, the sacrum, mobilizing the entire body actually in this very simple sequence. So starting here, you're going to inhale, drop your belly down, lift your chest up and look up, stretching the neck slightly. As you exhale, you're going to curl your tailbone under, round the lower back, upper back, bring the chest towards the hip, towards the thighs, and bring the head towards the ground, coming into this common pose of child's pose. Yeah. So you can come all the way down if you're comfortable to do so. And if you're pregnant, this is great to do, but then what you would do is just bring your head to the ground and the butt stays in the air. If you've got a big belly, if you're just not up for it.
That was my next question.
That's another variation, and you could always have a nice pillow or blanket here to rest your head.
could use that bit of advice.
Absolutely. And if this is otherwise, you can come all the way down. Then from here, so if you're here with your head on the ground and your hips up, or if your chest and belly are resting on the tops of your thighs and your head is on the ground, from here what you're going to do is imagine that you're a little mouse that's just crawling underneath the narrow doorway on the way up. So that's the gradual nature that you're going to come up. So it's not this mechanical motion from the hips. It's actually going gradually inching forward, keeping the forearms on the ground at first. And then the head begins to look up as you begin to straighten the elbows, feeling the back engage, with each part of the back engaging separately, and then you've come back up to this starting position with the back arched and looking up slightly. Exhaling, tuck the tailbone under, round the back, letting the movement be led. Let the movement be led by the breath. Imagining your breath is moving your body. So as you inhale, let that inhale take the body forward in space, then eventually take the head up, straightening those elbows.
I like the image of a mouse looking to the other side of the room.
Peering its yes. And then at the top here, you're really opening the chest, letting the shoulder blades come towards each other. Good. And then exhale down. Rounding, tucking the tailbone under first, looking towards your belly, and coming all the way down. So Banu, if we had all the time in the world, we would be doing this at least 8 times, probably 12 times, just to warm the body up. But we're going to move on to the next one here. So viewers at home, when you're doing this on your own, you can repeat more than we've done it here on the show. And from this position, you are going to come to a fully prone position, laying on the belly. Completely on the belly, the legs are straight out in the back, and you're going to rest your head to one side, and your hands are going to be alongside your chest with the elbows bent, and make sure the elbows are not splayed out towards the sides, so have the elbows drawn in towards the body. And you're going to start with the feet fully together, the toes together, not the toes together, well, the insides of the feet together, so they're touching. From here, we're going to just go progressively through a sequence where we're going to gradually increase the distance between our feet, which is really good for the sacrum, the muscles around the sacrum that support the sacrum, good for the hips as well. So on an inhale, you're going to turn the head and lift the head and chest up. And then you're going to exhale, lower the head to the other side. This is also a beautiful exercise if you have tightness in your neck. A gentle way of stretching it. And now from here, you're going to separate your feet a few inches. And then we're going to come and do the same thing. Inhale, lift the head and chest up as far as is comfortable for you without bearing weight into your hands. And then exhale, turn the heads to the opposite side as you lower down. So you would do this a couple times on with each foot position, but we're just going to do it once each. So now separate your feet a little wider still. And then again, inhale, turning the head as you gradually lift the head and chest up. And that's good, it's beautiful. If you can lift your hands up too, you're getting your back muscles to work there. Exhale, lower the head down. And then separate the legs even wider. Inhale, coming up, turning the head, lifting up. Exhale. And if at any point you begin to have pain in your hips or it feels like that's about it, then you know where you're good and you can work within that range. And if your hips happen to be very flexible, you can separate them even farther. So at this point, your legs are wide apart. They're pretty much off the yoga mat, that wide. Can you separate your hips, legs that far? We'll just do it one more time. Inhale, come up. And exhale, lower to the other side. And now bring the legs completely together once again. And turn the head to face the right, have the right cheek on the ground. So now we're going to intensify it by raising the legs up. So as you inhale, you're going to raise the head, neck, chest, and legs without pressing into the hands. And then exhale, lower everything down. The feet are touching. And then one more time, just like this. Inhale, raise everything up. And exhale, lower down. And now separate the legs a bit. Few, maybe about 6 inches apart. Inhale, same thing, raising the head, neck, chest, and legs. Exhale, lower everything down. And then separate the legs even farther for the next one. And again, when we had all the time in the world, we'd be doing a few repetitions at each leg position. Inhale here. Raise the legs up. Good, excellent. And exhale, lower down. And notice what feels like it's engaging. Again, all of yoga is really a self-study, a journey towards greater and greater self-awareness. So this is really awareness, what's happening in your body. Bring the legs even wider, so that at this point they're probably off your mat, if that's comfortable for you. And inhale here. Raise everything up. And exhale, lower down. And then we're going to come back with the legs at this position. Come back up to center with the head, neck, chest, and legs lifted up. Staying here, exhale, just bring the legs together. And then inhale, separate. That's tougher than I thought. It's tougher than it looks. Exhale, bring them together. And if this is, we're just getting a little bit more intense each time. If this is too intense, you know where you're going to stop today, which is just at the previous thing. We'll just do it once more. Inhale. Opening. And exhale, bring the legs together. Inhale here, lift up a little bit more. Exhale, lower everything down. Let that cheek rest to the side. Great. So from here, you're going to tuck your toes under and just to come to a counter pose. So always want to do something to compensate for the effects of what you've just done. We're going to come up and then drop the butt back into this child's pose type position to just come into a forward bend to compensate for all that back arching we were just doing. And then you can just rest here. This itself, one of my other favorite positions, is so wonderful for any kind of lower abdominal stagnation, constipation, painful menstrual cramps. Wonderful, wonderful for insomnia. Also very soothing for the nervous system with the head here contacting the ground, that key point on the forehead, just getting a little pressure from the ground here in this posture. Even if you needed to put a pillow or blanket, you would want that head to be contacting whatever that pillow is, so that that point there, that region of the forehead, actually gets a little soothing stimulation just by that pressure. And then once you feel like you've had a good rest here, you can
stay a little longer.
I know. I want to
so
stay
good
all day. Okay.
I did adapt this posture a little bit. I brought my knees out. Does that have the same effect?
That's a great adaptation.
I just found it a little difficult because I have my little Michelin right
No, well, thank you, Banu, so much for mentioning that. Actually, doing this posture with the legs apart is actually even more beneficial for the hips.
Oh, good. Okay.
So it opens the hips even more.
Right.
And that's
it just gave me a little more room.
And it gives a little bit more room. If you have a belly, if you are... Absolutely.
Right, okay,
yes,
good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so come on to lay on the back now.
Okay.
Hold the hips to the camera. And laying on your back, have your knees bent up. And then you're going to open the legs up, have the soles of the feet together. In this position here, already just laying here like this is beneficial for gradually opening up the hips.
I noticed something when I have my hips open, my low back feels a little stronger because I have to engage the low back. Is that right? It just feels like it's off the ground.
It's off the ground more.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well, that is just because of the way the anatomy is. That
Right.
is definitely like you could even just notice what happens when you bring the legs together, and then
Right. The back sinks down.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Okay.
So that's normal. If it's pain or discomfort, then
Right.
what I would say is don't have the legs that wide, and then what you would do is actually have blankets or blocks underneath to support the legs.
Got it.
So if out there this is just painful or you're actually getting any cramping sensation in here, then still you can definitely do this. You just want some blocks or blankets to support you on either side. Also, if your knee ends up acting up, having blankets on either side will also support you, so you're not going beyond your limit.
Right.
So in this position here, you can either rest your hands on your lower abdomen, if that's comfortable for you. This is like a position of receptivity. You're just keeping the energy in towards yourself. If you're feeling more open to sort of mimic what the hips are doing, being so open like that, you can have your palms facing up, your arms open out to the sides. They can be just at your sides, they can be at the shoulder height. I guess my point is here that we can make all kinds of adaptations to these postures to make them have different effects, to suit our body, to suit how we feel on a particular day and what our system needs on a particular day. So there's not just like the one right way. So you can choose whichever hand position today feels right to you. In fact, if you want to even elongate the torso, you can have the arms all the way up.
Oh, yeah. That feels good.
It's a really nice opening. You're really kind of opening your energy up to the universe here in this
Right.
position. So I'm going to just rest my hands on the lower abdomen. And what we're going to do here is a really powerful exercise, good for men and women. I'll say in some ways especially for women because it engages the muscles that support the sacrum as well as the perineal floor, the perineum. So this is really wonderful for women after you've had a baby and at all times and stages in life. So we're going to begin here, and what we're going to do is gradually bring the legs together. I will talk us through it with the breathing. So we're going to inhale here in this position. And on your next exhale, you're going to bring your legs just an inch or two closer towards each other. On the next inhale, you're going to stay in this position. And on the next exhale, you're going to bring the legs an inch or two more towards each other. As you can see, we're gradually bringing the legs towards each other. So we're going to continue in this way, taking a few more breaths. If you notice your legs shaking, that is totally normal, and I wouldn't say that in other positions, but in this posture, to have that shaking, that's just that the muscles are being really activated. So exhaling, bringing the legs together. And inhaling in the new position. What looks kind of like a very gentle sequence of posture is actually kind of intense in a very focused way. Inner thighs, perineum, stabilizing the sacrum. And then eventually you're going to get to the point where you want to just turn the soles of the feet to face the mat so your legs are completely straight and stable. then once you're there, just straighten your legs out. Have your arms out to the sides if you haven't had them there already. Just take a moment here to assess how you're feeling in this position. And if you're repeating this at home, you could stay here for 12 breaths, even several minutes, just as a rest between postures and a rest before we change our position. But now here on the show, we're just going to bend the legs, have the feet firmly planted in the ground, roll the body to one side, and then slowly come up.
That felt good. Well, on behalf of Mona Chopra, this is Banu Suresh signing off. You are watching Yogaxpress. Thanks to Josiane Hurd, our director, Catherine Kirkpatrick, assisting Josiane in the control room, and possibly George Sotrelis is there as well today. So thanks to all of you for the great teamwork. Also thanks to Deshaun Pretlow for the studio lights and setting up the sound system. Opening music, the opening Oms from Sapta Tandavam. Body music by Cesar Dipara, created just for Yogaxpress. Mona, closing words of wisdom for our viewers. That did feel good, actually. And, especially bringing the knees in at every exhale, bringing it in a little bit, really made me focus, made me concentrate.
Yes, indeed.
So,
well, what I would say is, since in this episode today we focused a lot on the lower body, from a musculoskeletal point of view, the lower back, the hips, and the sacrum. Some people say that our pelvis is the repository for all the junk that we haven't processed yet in our life. And so if we can just open these parts of our physical body, we might be able to open and let go of things we're holding on to.
That's interesting.
So in the next episode, we'll actually focus on digestive elements and digestive holding, which is just another level and layer of being able to let go.
I'm curious. I hope we get this last part into the program. I want to share this with our viewers. So would there be any, other than the hereditary factor, would there be any meaning to the thought that when we get depressed, we put on more weight on the hips? Is that one of the reasons?
For sure. I mean, it is really, I think, individualized, and it is like, oh yeah, some people would tend to get it more in the belly, some people, but definitely it's like there could be indications as to why one person gets it on their
All right, I'm going to
hips.
start working on my hips.
Exactly. Hula hooping is a great way to work on
Well,
that
to
too.
sort of get a little high right then.
That's right.
Improve the waist. Well, thank you so much, Mona. I believe we may have another minute. Josiane, how are we doing for time? The credits haven't rolled yet, so we probably have. So what does that mean? Do we have another minute, too? Okay.
2.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any closing
pranayama?
posture? Yeah.
Sure.
That'll be
Okay.
great.
So one of my favorite pranayama or breathing practices is Shitali, also known as Shitkari, and we're just going to incorporate a little hand movement with it. So just bring the thumb and index finger to touch here, and you're just going to sit in any comfortable position with the spine, so as long as the spine is elongated.
Right.
So great idea. I'm going to sit on a block too.
It helps bring my knees down.
Yes, exactly. So you want the spine to be erect. Sitting in a chair is completely fine to do this. Thumb and index